He noticed it most clearly in quiet moments, not during work, not when messages were coming in, but in the spaces between things. The feeling that everyone else had moved on without him, that life had somehow started for others, while he was still standing at the edge, waiting for a signal that never came. Maybe you know that feeling, the one where you look around and think, I should be further by now, further in work, further in relationships, further in confidence. You don't say it out loud because on paper your life looks fine. But inside, there's a quiet sense of being late to something everyone else seems to understand. He used to scroll through updates late at night, not out of curiosity, but habit. Promotions, engagements, houses, smiling faces that seemed certain of their direction. Each one added a small weight, not heavy enough to name, just enough to slow him down the next day. What troubled him most wasn't comparison. It was the question underneath it. What am I missing? He worked hard. He tried to be decent. He showed up. And yet there was this constant feeling of being slightly off pace, like walking behind a group that never quite waits. One evening, after another long day that felt both busy and unimportant, he sat quietly and noticed how tired he was of measuring himself, not just against others, but against an invisible timeline he'd absorbed without ever agreeing to. He realized he'd been treating life like a race he never chose to enter, judging himself by checkpoints that weren't even clearly marked. There was a strange relief in that thought. If he hadn't agreed to the race, maybe he could stop running. He began to see how often behind was a story he told himself, not a fact. A story shaped by age milestones, social expectations, and quiet pressure. A story that ignored what couldn't be measured. The resilience built through uncertainty. The patience learned through delay. The depth that comes from moving slowly, even unwillingly. He thought about how growth rarely announces itself. How much of it happens underground, unseen, misunderstood, even by the person living it. No one applauds the years spent figuring things out. No one posts about the evenings spent questioning everything. But those moments change a person in ways success never does. At some point, he paused and listened to the quiet room. Not to find answers, but to notice he was still here, still moving, still learning, still becoming someone he couldn't have imagined earlier. He realized that feeling behind often means you're thinking deeply. That doubt usually visits people who care about meaning, not just speed. That rushing might look impressive, but it rarely feels satisfying from the inside. So he made a small decision, not to catch up, not to fix everything, just to stop using other people's clocks to judge his own life, to let his days unfold without constant comparison, to trust that moving thoughtfully is still moving. If you feel behind right now, maybe it doesn't mean you're failing. Maybe it means you're listening. Maybe you're taking the long way, the one that teaches you who you are, not just what you achieve. And perhaps one day you'll look back and realize you were never late at all. You were simply arriving in your own time.